This is Get a Better Broadcast podcast and voice-over voice. Daily help, advice, anecdotes from a career either side of the mic, from broadcasting and podcasting, and a few voiceovers as well. Welcome to today's episode. We're looking, aren't we, at the food and drink naughty list today. Now, as I said, some of these things may not affect you at all. Yeah, everyone is different. Other things may affect you, but this is usually the kind of foods which can sometimes affect people. But as I say, you may not be affected by these at all. Or maybe there may be one or two of these on the list that you go, oh, that's what I've been eating or drinking too much of. And you decide to cut down on that. Maybe keep a little diary, just a piece of paper, just noting down how much you've cut down by, when you did it before you had to speak, what the effect was, and try and work out what that balance is that you need to have consuming these various items, and how much they affect you by, how much you need to cut back, how much you need to cut down on them by, to have it an effect on your voice, on your presentation style. Maybe it's too much saliva, maybe it's too much mouth sounds and clicking. Maybe there could be some of these which make your mouth too watery. Maybe some of these actually affect you in other ways. For example, you get a bit bunged up with your nasal cavity or something like that. Maybe it affects your breathing, a little bit of wheeziness, or maybe it could be a bit of an upset stomach. And if you've got something like that and you've got some strange gurgling noises going on down below, you may think to yourself, oh, I don't feel 100%. Can this be picked up by the microphone? Are they hearing this in the ops room, in the gallery, in the extra studio? Is that being picked up on the recording? Yes, all of these considerations that you may want to make. Anyway, enough about that. Let's actually crack on with the bad list and run through some of these. And we'll start off with the good old classic dairy, milk, yoghurt, cheese. It can all be difficult for some bodies to break down. It can cause acid reflux, which can, as we've said about before, can burn your vocal folds. It can also thicken mucus, causing you to clear your throat more often. And that, of course, reduces the manoeuvrability of your tongue. May not affect you. It may affect you. It may affect you little. It may affect you lots. Processed sugar is another one. Yeah, boiled and chewy sweets, juice drinks can really be heavily processed, causing phlegm in some people. And after an initial sugar rush, that was a good TV series, wasn't it? Sugar Rush. After an initial sugar rush comes the sugar crash, affecting you mentally as well. Yeah, then there's caffeine. Coffee is thought to cause dehydration, again, in some people. It will certainly cause a post-caffeine crash, which you want to try and avoid. Chocolate contains not only dairy and sugar, but also natural caffeine, so it's a triple threat snack attack. Fried food and butter. Oil and grease, both heartburn triggers. Butter is, of course, a dairy product as well. Iced water. What do you mean, water? What's wrong with water? Water's good, yeah? Well, room temperature is best to avoid that throat shock if you swallowed it, which, of course, you're likely to do. Now, a couple of things on this. As I've said before, food and water, anything you drink, anything you eat, isn't actually touching your vocal folds directly, but of course it could just tense up your throat a little bit if it's icy cold. Room temperature water is so much better. And I said if you swallow it. Some people, and this isn't bad advice either, I mean, it's a bit difficult to actually do if you're in a radio or a voiceover studio, but some people will just wash their mouth out with some water and spit it away. Some people will clean their teeth before they go into a recording or a broadcasting session, just to freshen up their mouth in that regard. Carbonated drinks and sodas. These are certainly not top of the pops. See what I did there? Not only do they have belching-induced bubbles, but they're also invariably full of sugar as well. Alcohol. Yeah, leave warming up lubrication to the announcers of yesteryear. Not only will the use of drink affect the perception others have of you, imagine going into a professional studio smelling of booze. Yeah, but it could also make you slur your words. On its own, it may dry your throat, and with a mixer, it may overly increase your sugar intake. And finally, spicy food. Spoken about this before on the show. Heartburn issues again, I'm afraid, so avoid all of those. Quick run through: dairy, processed sugar, caffeine, chocolate, fried food and butter, iced water, carbonated drinks and sodas, alcohol and mixers, and spicy food. Good Lord in heavens above, is there nothing we can eat and drink, Peter? Yes, there is. And I'll tell you about those tomorrow as Get a Better Broadcast podcast and Voice Over Voice continues. From London, I'm Peter Stewart.